Have you noticed it too, that subtle tension underneath conversations lately? You meet someone for coffee and it starts light, but then it slips more into the economy, the wars, political uncertainties, headlines that never seems to pause. Even if it's not directly outside your window, it's in your phone, it's in your feed. And here's the question I have been sitting with. How much of your mental energy this week has been spent on things that you cannot influence? Not your calendar, not your team, or not your own next step, but the global uncertainty. Other people's decisions, system you cannot steer. If you felt slightly overwhelmed without really knowing why, you're not alone. Today, I want to share a simple model that helps me to return to calm and lead from clarity, even when the world feels unstable.
I'm Hanna Zaxmy, your leadership coach, and this podcast is your confidence boost in color. Let's go.
A couple of episodes ago, I asked you, where are you busy? And where are you in your business? That episode created so many conversations, and I'm not surprised. This is something we circle back to again and again in life and in leadership. I could give you example after example of moments where I have been lost focus, where I drifted into reacting instead of leading, where I spent energy outside my own lane. I see it as like a lifelong learning, even though today I'm much better of choosing where I place my focus, even though I'm more intentional about directing my energy towards what's actually within my control. New situations keep appearing, new challenges, new uncertainties, new waves of noise. And that's what I want to expand on today. Because I've noticed something in the conversations lately with friends, with clients, with people living in different parts of the world. There's a quiet layer of anxiety underneath many conversations, like the wars, the economic instability, unpredictable political leaders, polarization, climate concerns. Even when there are things that are not physically present in someone's daily street view, they are present in the news feed, and they create a sense of unease. Before I go further, I want to say something personally. I'm deeply grateful where I live, for the upbringing I have had. Now, my life has not been easy in every season, but I live in a country without war. There is food, and there is a social safety net if something happens. That's a privilege. And some of the people I speak to live in places where instability is not just on the news, it's in their everyday reality. So how do we relate to this? How do we lead ourselves when the outer world feels unstable? In episode 41, I shared a story about Mia. After one of our coaching sessions, she left with a simple drawing with 2 circles. The inner circle was called My Business. Inside that circle are the things that Mia could control, that she has full responsibility for. The thoughts, the actions, the responses, the boundaries, what she consumes, how she shows up. Around that circle was a bigger one, and we call that the other people business. This includes family system, workplace dynamics, organization, communities, places where she can influence, but she is not control over everything. But today I want to add a 3rd circle, outermost one, the one that holds both the others. I call it the God's business. This is a model that has originated from Byron Katie, and I've integrated it in a way that makes sense for me and my life and leadership. In that outer circle, there are things that we cannot control, not even influence, but that still affect us, like the weather, global politics, pandemics, stock markets, natural disasters. Well, let me give you a simple example, like the weather. I cannot control the weather if it rains or if it shines. My task is not to argue with the sky. It is to bring the right coat. I've traveled a lot by train in my life. Delays happen rather often. Railway failures, technical issues. Getting angry at the conductor, it doesn't move the train. Planning extra time, maybe take an earlier train, well, that's in my business. Rebooking calmly, that's in my business. Shouting, well, that's not helpful for anyone. During the global pandemic in 2020, I followed the news intensely at first. Statistics, press conferences, graphs, predictions. And the more I consumed, the more powerless I felt. I could not influence the infection curves globally. What was within my business? Following the guidelines, keeping distance, respecting restrictions. And what else? What I allowed into my mental bandwidth. So I made a conscious decision. I reduced my news intake. I became really selective about the media sources. That decision shifted something. It freed up energy I used to spend more time with my family and to join a mentoring network supporting young adults entering work life during uncertain times. I could not change the global situation, but I could contribute locally, and that mattered. Now, I want to be clear, this is not about becoming naive or ignoring suffering or disconnecting from the world. It's about discernment. If I constantly live in the outer circle, I will feel helpless. If I collapse the circles and take responsibility for everything, I will burn out. Self-leadership sometimes means setting boundaries for your own attention. Where is this thought placed? That question alone creates a time to take a breath and to pause. And when you catch yourself spiraling, ask, what circle am I in right now? Is this truly mine to carry? Or am I emotionally overreaching into something I cannot steer? And this is where I want to share something more personally. I'm a believer in Jesus. For me, prayer is not an escape from responsibility. It's a way of releasing what is not within my control and asking someone that actually has that power. In the same way, it can be a way of influencing a dear friend. It is my way of sorting and of placing things consciously in the right circle. When I fold my hands and pray, I am not saying, I will not do nothing. I'm saying, I want to do something. Guide me where I can help. And that gives me some sort of peace. It helps me to return to my inner circle. And from there, I can act. So here is your practical reflection for this week. When a worry repeats in your mind, first, identify the circle. Where does this belong? Ask yourself, what part of this is within my business? And thirdly, act there. And remind yourself, I make a difference one action at a time. Yes, even a small act, because here's something beautiful. When your circle joins with others who are also acting within theirs, collective impact grows. You cannot change everything, but you can change something that makes a difference. This connects deeply to the journey of leading yourself sustainably. The better you are on nurture yourself, making sure that you have the long-term sustainability in focus, you will be able to do important actions and contributions for a long time, one action at a time. So make sure to pause, reconnect, and act intentionally, not from panic, but more from clarity. Leadership is not about carrying the world. It's about carrying your part and inspiring others. If this episode resonated with you, I would love for you to share this with someone you might see that needs this perspective. Leave a comment or hit the like. And if you want to structure the daily reflection to help you to notice which circle you are in, you can download my Confidence Charger workbook. The link's in the show notes. As always, be confident, be you.